Like I always say, if you're not down with the bullshit and you're down with the real shit, like and subscribe. Um, I wanted to talk about something based off of um, a thought that came to me just based off of hearing how, you will hear people sometime now, these guys who have these um, pages on Instagram or YouTube, and they'll speak about like how a lot of entertainers in previous years or past decades um, did things like they took these deals and they didn't understand the whole thing about branding and merchandising and you know they didn't understand like what the percentage of what their publishing rights were supposed to be or should have been, and you know they were just they kind of get ridiculed, for not being savvy business people, and they get talked about like that's why they took losses financially and careers suffered and everything. But here's the thing: they had to take some kind of risk, and what they did, the risk that they took, was they betted on their talent. And especially coming from like an impoverished background, the hood, something of that nature. You look at a lot of people's mindset already is that they're limited as far as like how many irons they can actually put into the fire to actually like try to excel in life, come up out that poverty. A lot of people, like if they don't get a especially back in the day, like if they didn't get a thorough education or they figured school wasn't for them, then they had to rely on some type of talent. They had to be able to sing, they had to be able to rap, they had to be able to play basketball or football. They had to be able to box, fight. Other than that, things of that nature, it broke down to robbing and stealing. Yeah, it broke down to robbing and stealing, or selling drugs. You know, um, but the emphasis of what this is all about that I'm speaking on has to do with taking risk. They had to take some kind of risk, put themselves out there some kind of way, and in taking risk, there's also vulnerability to taking risk. The whole thing about it is nothing is greatly gained without taking risk. And a lot of times, especially like with people in the black community, one thing that is maybe talked about in some aspects, but it's never just really expounded upon, strictly pertaining to the aspect of risk. And the reason why that is because a lot of times people who feel like they don't have a lot don't like to take risk because they figure like I only have what I have right now, and what I have right now is not that much, and so I don't want to lose what I have, you know. And so the thing about it is when they were making these remarks about the, entertainers and famous people and the moves that they made, like in like prior years or prior decades, like I said, or even throughout the entertainment industries, industry history, um, that you got to keep in mind at the same time, these people still took risks, and the risk that they took was they betted on their talent. Okay, there's a lot of people that sing, there's a lot of people that rap, a lot of people play ball, and the risk factor has a lot to do with why a lot of people don't make it and don't become successful. Because you got a lot of people singing in the shower. You got a lot of so-called comedians like to tell jokes to their families and to their friends, but they won't get on that stage where it really counts to see if they really do have the chops to actually make it and, could possibly have a career, could take care of them, other members of their family, but they won't take that risk of facing possibly, humiliation, uh, possibly like people saying, we don't necessarily like what you're doing. But like they say, if first you don't succeed, it's try again. But you have a lot of people who won't even try the first time. So a lot of people who have taken certain risks, even like, there's a lot of guys, like, I know it's illegal, but even if you talk about the drug game, a lot of guys were not willing to be out on that corner and taking those penitentiary chances because they were scared to death of going to jail for a lot of years, also going to jail, being incarcerated with those inmates who they figured them knowing their true self, knowing they didn't have the heart to stand up to those type of dudes that are in jail. Yet at the same time, a lot of the people who even wanted to sit up and talk about these guys romanticize about the lives that these guys have. How do we know this? This is why a lot of the rappers, took on the model of, as far as like how they presented themselves and how they look, as what? Drug dealers. Wearing the big, donkey ropes, the big gold chains, wearing all the designer outfits, all the Louis Vuitton this, the Gucci this, trying to wear the most expensive sneakers, trying to have the cars that all tricked out, with the Trues and Vogues and Star Wars and knockoffs and, candy paint and big sound system in the car, everything, because this is what they seen the drug dealers and how this is how the drug dealers looked and the pimps and guys of that nature in the hood. These were guys who were successful. These were guys who had money. These were guys who all the women wanted and everything like that. The rapper took that image and applied that to itself, So systematically, you can see how the mentality of the streets, and all what went on, how it transferred over into the rap game and came into hip hop, and so when you talk about a lot of things that went on in hip hop, the violence and the things that that got talked about, these things are all based upon the influence of a lot of young inner city kids growing up in the hood and what they seen. So it's not that hip hop is a bad thing, or just the whole rap culture is a bad thing. It's society that's bad, and the rappers and the guys throughout hip hop reflect it. Which is I talk about like another video, the truth of the matter of why hip hop is under a microscope and gets talked about in the way that it does so much, as for because of the simple fact that hip hop is communication. So that's why it's so much of an important genre as it pertains to music, and why it's so profitable, and why it's so global, because it's a form of communication. So you can make a bunch of love songs, but a bunch of country songs, a bunch of rock songs, a bunch of jazz songs and everything, but those things, even though there might be messages in some of that at given points in time, that is mostly like for the feeling. That's those different music genres are pertain more so to the vibe, and just, what you're feeling at the time and stuff like that. Whereas hip hop is more about communication. that goes along with music. So now, if you take that into consideration, you can figure out why they try to dumb down rap music and want the rappers to talk about only specific things, sex, drugs, and different debaucherous natures, and or a little to do with nothing type songs, or and whatever, because they do not want the vehicle, as it acts as a conduit, hip hop being to pass on pertinent information that has to do with how we actually live, because that is making people conscious of what's going on, and they don't want people conscious of what's going on, so that the powers that be can keep on, with impunity, acting and behaving in the way that they do, to fly under the radar, and just be able to just inject policy here, wherever, however, without any kind of blowback or anything like that, But the early guys, and here's the thing, people now today are supposed to learn from the mistakes of people that came before them. So when you look at all these older stars and you want to talk about, or even in sports, you want to talk about the older athletes, and you want to say like, well, look at all these bad business deals they did. All they did was just get out there and they just played their ass off, and they made all these guys money and this and that, and look what happens at the end. At the end, they wind up retiring, and then they're broke, and then they don't have the money, and then they don't have this, and they should have invested in this, and they should have bought into this business, and they should have branded themselves, and they just, a lot of people that came, it's not that they're stupid, they just didn't know. They didn't know that they could even do this stuff. I mean, if you're sitting up, you're talking about people who like already have a mindset that they're limited, that society basically based upon being or feeling disenfranchised already has mentally made you believe that there's limitations to what you can and cannot do. So if they say we're going to pay you $1 million just to get out there on that stage and dance, we're going to pay you $1 million just to get out there and shoot that basketball, we're going to pay you $1 million just to get out there and hand your football, and you just run through all these big 300-pound linemen and take these hits and stuff like that. They're looking at it like, well, hey, I'm blessed to be able to do something like this. They're not thinking about they're going to let me in the boardroom. They're not thinking that, oh man, they're going to let me, be up there with them. And so you have to be able to see yourself as being a boss. Well, you just especially with a lot of minorities that have been in this country, in the United States, that it's been limited for like many, 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 many years. The faces that you see like in a higher up position that has to do with decision making and control, it's been very limited that Black people have seen Black people who have been able to get these positions, Latinos, Asians, anybody that's non-white. So the optics suggest that you guys are the workers, you guys are the employees, all those that are not white. So that's a mental thing that happens just from what gets projected and everything, So also we must remember that there is a system that is in place, and that system is intentional. That system is not random. The powers that be, everybody that basically the corporate leaders of this world, the movers and shakers, the owners of industry and everything, they can't say that they don't know how things are being ran and what's going on, because they're the ones running it. So everything that's in place that's meant to limit certain people, or that's meant to give certain people benefits over others, that's done intentionally. But so the whole thing about it is you gotta look at those people from the past and understand that strides had to be made, even for those that's right now that's sitting up there want to look and talk about people who didn't have a good business sense and didn't understand the do's and don'ts, and didn't understand percentages, and didn't understand ownership and all this type of stuff. They were the sacrifice for you to be able to even talk the way that you're talking right now. And that was based on them betting on themselves, doing the best to their ability, but they did something. You know, everything requires sacrifice. Usually the thing, especially like with our people, they don't like to sacrifice anything. If you're not willing to take a loss, then you can't move forward, and then you can't win. A lot of guys, black guys will get a good job. They'll invest in what they know is safe to invest in, and what they think will bring the quickest, most ideal aspect of gratification. So what they'll do is they'll work, they'll get money, they'll buy a car, they'll buy clothes, they'll buy jewelry, they'll buy things that will make them stand out. Figuring that if they do this, they'll make them more of a ideal guy for the women. So they'll put all this money into looking good for us, material wise and everything. Hell, they'll even get with a woman and try to show her a good time and spend all kind of money on her, take her to the restaurant and buy all these fancy meals and everything. That does not guarantee that you are going to get lucky later on, and does not guarantee that's going to make her want to be your woman and want to have a long-term relationship with you. But you have a lot of guys who will take that risk, but he won't invest in a business. He won't invest in an idea that might be profitable, not right now, but later on down the line, and he could be, who knows, possibly a multi-millionaire if it's the right deal, But that's been a throughout our history. Throughout our history, that has been a thing that's been a constant. They a lot of times our people, we only want to invest in something that we figure is a guarantee. So black people a lot of times won't make moves because they want absolution. I want to make. Do they want you to guarantee that this is going to work? Like, no, life doesn't work like that. Life is about risk, sacrifice, and you have to be able to understand you're going to take a loss sometime. I have friends and I have family. You'll hear me in different videos say that because that's to let you know right up close and personal that I've seen this. When you get to talking to them about investing in certain things and sacrificing to make certain things work, if that's not something ideally that they see as beneficial for them, and this is based upon what they like and what they desire and what their vices are, cravings, or addictions are, if it doesn't satisfy that, they don't see that as worthwhile. So it's like if you tell somebody to invest money into a business, that's going to take a time to get up and running, with a little bit of elbow grease and determination, and consistency and diligence, this can possibly turn into something. They won't know. They'll sit there with that damn goofy goober look on their face, like they got brain freeze or something, like somewhere. That is just, you just looking like, what the hell's wrong with him? Like, what is he doing? But if you tell him to invest in something that, oh man, you spend this money, this girl might come give you some sex and oh shit, oh where's she at? How you do that? Then they down to do that. See, that's cool because that's where his mind at. What we used to always refer to, he's a cockhound. So as long as he can have a woman laying in his bed, or that satisfies his sexual lust and everything, so he's cool with that, even though she might be known hoe, might bring him back diseases. You know what I'm saying? He could be affected many different ways, financially, even his own health. You know, because a lot of times these women that roam the streets, a lot of times they're attached to other guys. And a lot of these guys are street guys too. And so if you just some damn normal ass lame L7 square ass dude, but pretending to be something that you're not, this other guy who basically ain't gonna have no respect for you because he figured he might be like, I'm using it for the purpose I'm using it for. But he sees you as a dumbass because this fool actually want to take a tramp and make her his woman and spend money on her and house her and feed her and all kinds of so he looking at you right then and there, he can't respect you as a man because that he's like, yo, anybody with a real man, anybody with some real game or self-worth wouldn't be messing with no bra like this on that type of level. You know what I'm saying? So he might figure like, well, if you become some kind of nuisance to him, get in the way of him handling business with her, hell, he might step to you and tell you get the hell on, kick rocks, whatever. And if you don't, something gonna happen to you. Now you on a threat because you cared about, you know, that. And some dude go through that and he still be somewhere talking to somebody else talking about, I just don't know what to do, man. I really love the girl. And what? You really love this tramp? You really, you know, this, that, and I mean, where I've known guys who are like, yo, man, you're going to honestly, you ain't even that type of guy. You ain't a street guy. What? You willing to go get a gun to protect yourself from this guy who probably is some real, like, thug dude or something like that from the street. You're not. But you want her so bad, you want to try to keep her. So, see, he'll risk that. See, because, see what I'm saying? He figures there's a reward in that. I'm getting sex, like, from a tramp, see? And but he won't reveal it. He will not put that dedication towards a business. He won't put no work ethic in. Nothing. You know, it's like a lot of times a lot of people will want a guaranteed check. That's why we'll work. You know, we'll work. That's cool because I'll get a check every week or I'll get a check every 2 weeks. Hey man, you should invest some of that money into like getting your own business. Oh man, yeah, but you know, if I do that and this and that and blah, 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 and I had to put a lot of work in doing this and that, and I don't really have the time for that, and you know, this and that, and I'll be tired, and you know, woo, and this and that, whatever. So, see, will not put in time and effort for himself to be able to be in control of his own business and be a boss, but he will go out there and work hard for somebody else, put in overtime and everything just to get that guaranteed check because he believes more in that than believing in himself. So the mentality of that is, I believe more so in somebody else taking care of me and feeding me than I do believe in me taking care of myself, feeding me, and stuff like that. But you feel as though, no, I do take care of myself and I feed myself because, shoot, I get paid, I pay my bills and I go buy food and this and that, and I don't be doing stupid stuff with my money. I do take care of myself. Yeah, but only because the guy you work for chooses to give you money to do it. If he tells you tomorrow, I no longer want to give you money to do anything for me, what are you going to do? Now you got to go find somebody else to do it, to give you money to do something for them. So that, like they say,